What if, from your earliest memory, you knew your purpose wasn't of this world? Paramahansa Yogananda was no ordinary child. Born in 1893 in Gorakhpur, India, he came into the world with a hunger not for toys or games, but for God. In a world driven by material ambition, his was a soul whispering of ancient truths. The darkness of Maya is silently entering, his mother once told him. And yet, he would become the light that helped millions see through it. Watch till the end. This isn't just a story. It's a soul's longing remembered. As a young Mukunda, Yogananda grew up in a spiritually vibrant Bengali family. His father, a calm railway executive, and his mother, deeply devoted, shaped a home where saints and scriptures were household names. At just 8 years old, Yogananda had visions of meditating monks and inward journeys. He didn't want to build an empire. He wanted liberation. Tragedy struck early when his mother passed away, leaving behind not just grief, but a sacred amulet she promised would reach him when his spiritual path truly began. In his youth, Mukunda formed an unbreakable bond with his closest friend, Jitendra. Together, they devoured stories of saints, practiced austerities, and chased the footprints of the divine across Bengal. Their friendship was full of innocence, rebellion, and raw devotion. Yogananda wasn't looking for miracles. He was looking for someone who had seen the eternal. He visited many saints, each encounter giving him a taste of the path ahead, yet none fully quenched his thirst. At just 12, Yogananda made a daring attempt to run away to the Himalayas in search of a true guru. Accompanied by Jitendra, the journey led them to Banaras, now Varanasi, where they met the perfume saint who could manifest fragrances at will, and the tiger Swami who fought wild beasts with yogic strength. But each time, Yogananda realized something profound. Powers don't equate to realization. These early adventures were thrilling, but left him spiritually unsatisfied. What he truly longed for was not spectacle, but guidance toward the infinite. Lonely and aching for spiritual direction, Yogananda turned inward. In a deeply emotional moment of prayer, he pleaded with Divine Mother to appear. And she did, not in words or visions, but as a silent, all-encompassing love that flooded his being. This was not imagination. This was experience. From this point forward, he knew that God wasn't something far away. It lived within him, patient and waiting. He began to realize that the path of yoga was about uncovering what was already there. One day, while walking in Calcutta, Yogananda met a mysterious stranger who told him, "Your master is waiting for you." The man vanished as mysteriously as he came, but not before awakening a deep knowing in the young seeker. Something inside him stirred. The time was coming. The sacred amulet from his mother would soon resurface. The great meeting he longed for was near. Every sign now pointed to a destined encounter. The moment Yogananda met Swami Sri Yukteswar, time seemed to stand still. In this calm, lion-like figure, Yogananda saw the guru he had been searching for in countless lifetimes. Sri Yukteswar's gaze pierced his soul. His words were both strict and deeply loving. This was not a master who pampered disciples, he forged them. From that day, Mukunda's wild yearning was given form and direction. This meeting was more than emotional. It was eternal. The Guru had appeared, and the path had truly begun. Under Sri Yukteswar's guidance, Yogananda entered a period of intense inner transformation. The ashram life was demanding early meditations, scriptural study, inner silence, and surrender of ego. Yogananda, with his passionate nature, was often corrected, sometimes even scolded. But the love behind every lesson became clear. The Guru wasn't trying to change him, he was awakening him. From questioning pride to calming restlessness, every moment under Sri Yukteswar chipped away the noise clouding the divine. During one of his meditative states, Sri Yukteswar offered Yogananda visions of his previous births. He saw lifetimes of seeking, discipline, and longing. These glimpses weren't just mystical. They offered context to his spiritual hunger. He realized he wasn't new to the path. He was simply continuing a soul's journey across time. This understanding gave Yogananda deeper trust in his guru and the process unfolding within him. As the bond with his guru deepened, Yogananda felt a mission awakening inside him. Sri Yukteswar hinted that his path would eventually lead him to the West. Though Yogananda couldn't see how or when, he began to prepare. More than just techniques or mantras, he was being trained to carry India's ancient spiritual wisdom to a world that desperately needed it. He didn't seek fame, only to serve. With each breath, he was becoming not just a yogi, but a bridge between East and West. After countless inward cries and a relentless spiritual hunger, Yogananda's prayers were finally answered. In the heart of Benares, he met Swami Sri Yukteswar, a stern but radiant saint whose mere glance melted Yogananda's doubts. Their first meeting was not dramatic, but quietly world-changing. Yogananda knew he had found his guru, and in that moment, lifetimes of searching came to rest. The guru-disciple bond was now sealed with divine force, one that would guide Yogananda's soul toward its destined flight. Life at Sri Yukteswar's ashram was not easy. The master's discipline was sharp, his silence deeper than words, and his love hidden behind a veil of strictness. Yogananda, still full of idealism and youthful passion, had to learn patience, humility, and the power of surrender. Each correction from his guru was a lesson in dissolving ego, and each moment was an invitation to inner transformation. In the fire of Sri Yukteswar's gaze, illusions burned and clarity emerged. Yet the master was no ordinary man. His knowledge of the Vedas and the Bible flowed seamlessly, as if all wisdom belonged to him. He taught Yogananda the science of Kriya Yoga and expounded on the unity of all religions. During one striking episode, Sri Yukteswar described the structure of the universe and cycles of cosmic time with a precision that rivaled any scientist. It wasn't philosophy, it was truth, rooted in experience beyond the senses. Between intense training sessions, Yogananda was granted glimpses of India's hidden saints. He met the perfume saint, who could manifest any scent with a thought. Then came the Tiger Swami, who had wrestled live tigers with his bare hands, a symbol of mental strength born of spiritual mastery. These encounters weren't merely colorful. They were mirrors showing what was possible when the human spirit was free from fear, desire, and limitation. But the most unforgettable visit came with Bhaduri Mahashay, the levitating saint of Benares. This humble yogi, draped in simplicity, could defy gravity itself. And yet he cared not for fame or power, only the bliss of divine communion. In a time obsessed with appearances, Bhaduri's life reminded Yogananda and us that true greatness often hides behind a quiet smile and a silent heart. Yogananda's yearning to spread these spiritual truths began to grow. He dreamed not just of personal liberation but of bringing India's ancient science of the soul to the world. But his master reminded him that inner realization must precede outer mission. Sri Yukteswar, ever watchful, tempered Yogananda's fire with grounded wisdom. Every delay was divine preparation. In one deeply symbolic moment, Yogananda traveled to Serampur College to begin formal studies, not realizing this path would be the very channel through which his global mission would unfold. The dual call of inner silence and outer service began to harmonize. He balanced university life with ashram discipline, his feet on the ground and his heart with the divine. The deepening bond with his guru grew more mystical by the day. One evening, Sri Yukteswar prophesied events in detail that unfolded exactly as he said. He spoke of divine visions as casually as one discusses the weather. And in all this, Yogananda found a reflection of God's unfathomable mystery, a mystery made visible through the Guru's eyes. As Yogananda matured, he began to see his own faults more clearly, not through guilt, but through awakened awareness. The journey was never about becoming someone else, but about removing what he was not. Each test from Sri Yukteswar was like a sculptor's chisel, slowly revealing the light within. No longer a restless seeker, Yogananda was becoming a vessel of divine will. By the end of chapter 20, Yogananda stood poised between two worlds, the one of silent Himalayan caves and the one bustling with human suffering and longing. He had found his path, his teacher, and his calling. What lay ahead would change the West forever. But for now, the true foundation had been laid. Humility, surrender, discipline, and love, the four pillars of a yogi's life. As Yogananda matured in the disciplined guidance of Sri Yukteswar, he received a divine call that would forever alter the spiritual landscape of the West. A vision urged him to attend a Congress of Religious Liberals in America. Though he had never traveled beyond India, the voice within was unmistakable. His guru, with serene certainty, confirmed it was time. All doors are open for you, Sri Yukteswar said. Yogananda's mission, to carry yoga's ancient wisdom beyond Indian shores, was now taking form. Before setting sail, Yogananda gave one final speech in India to a massive crowd in Calcutta. Tears welled in his eyes, not from fear but from the overwhelming love of his motherland. The scent of jasmine, the chants of devotees, and the weight of millennia of tradition pulsed in his heart. Yet, his spirit knew the world was waiting. At the docks, he folded his hands and whispered inwardly to his ancestors, "I go to America not as an immigrant, but as a son of India carrying her eternal flame." The journey across the seas was far from luxurious. He faced seasickness, loneliness, and cultural shock even before landing. But Yogananda's diary entries reveal a mind anchored in prayer and vision. He practiced Kriya Yoga on deck at Sunrise, attracting curious glances. He saw the ocean not as a barrier, but as a pathway to divine service. "I am guided by the infinite," he wrote, words that echoed beyond the waves. Arriving in Boston in 1920, Yogananda stood as a stranger, brown-robed, sandal-wearing, with eyes glowing with something deeper than speech. At the International Congress of Religious Liberals, he gave a speech titled "The Science of Religion." What began as polite interest turned to spellbound silence. For the first time, many Americans heard that God could be experienced, not just believed in, and that the breath could lead to bliss. A spiritual bridge was being built, quietly and powerfully. In the years that followed, Yogananda toured America tirelessly. He addressed crowded halls in New York, Los Angeles, and beyond. Some mocked him as a foreign mystic, others called him a prophet. He was misunderstood, but never shaken. "People don't need a new religion," he said, "they need direct experience." And he gave it through Kriya Yoga, deep meditation, and the sheer radiance of his presence. But not all was light. Yogananda faced racism, suspicion, and organized resistance from religious groups who feared his influence. Even then, he remained unshaken, often retreating into long silences, drawing power from his guru's image. He spoke of universal truths, not Hinduism, not Christianity, but unity. He told audiences, "I am not here to convert you, but to make you more truly yourself." This message touched hearts. Yogananda's inner life deepened with each passing year. In one mystical chapter, he wrote about entering the state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the highest level of spiritual ecstasy. Time and space vanished. He felt himself as the very breath of the universe, one with stars, wind, and silence. This wasn't metaphor. It was direct experience. He returned changed, more anchored, more luminous. His connection with Lahiri Mahashaya, the guru of Sri Yukteswar, intensified. Though Lahiri had passed decades earlier, his presence often appeared to Yogananda in visions. In dreams and meditations, Yogananda felt the entire lineage, Babaji, Lahiri, Yukteswar, surrounding and guiding him. The chain of transmission was alive, and Yogananda was now a glowing link. In 1925, he established the Self-Realization Fellowship headquarters in Los Angeles. It was a bold move, a permanent spiritual lighthouse in the West. Monks were trained, teachings written, centers opened. The Indian monk was now a founder, a teacher, a symbol of ancient wisdom woven into modern lives. America had changed him, but he had also changed America. By the close of chapter 30, Yogananda had become more than a teacher. He was a living symbol of East meeting West, of silence flowing through speech, of devotion clothed in discipline. But this was only the middle of his journey. Ahead still lay revelations, return to India, and his guru's final gift. Yet in these chapters, his transformation from seeker to spiritual ambassador had fully bloomed, lighting the path for millions yet to come. As Yogananda's journey matures, so does the depth of his spiritual experience. In chapter 31, an interview with the Sacred Mother, he visits the ashram of Anandamayi, a radiant woman saint known for her spontaneous ecstasies. The young yogi is struck by her divine purity and glowing aura. Their meeting feels like the merging of two rivers, Yogananda's devotion meeting her eternal presence. In her childlike laughter, he glimpses the vast compassion of the Divine Mother. Next, in Rama is raised from the dead, Yogananda recounts a miraculous event that even the most skeptical minds find hard to dismiss. Swami Pranabananda, the saint with two bodies, revives a man declared clinically dead. But Yogananda's focus is not on spectacle, but service to God. He reminds us that true yogis don't perform miracles to impress. They do so out of love, duty, or divine will. Chapter 33 takes us to Babaji, the Yogi Christ of modern India. For the first time, Yogananda offers the world a glimpse of Mahavatar Babaji, the deathless master who revived Kriya Yoga. Babaji is described as ageless, residing in the Himalayas, watching over spiritual evolution. This chapter pulses with mysticism. You can feel the reverence, as if history pauses to acknowledge the presence of a being untouched by time. In materializing a palace in the Himalayas, Yogananda recounts a story told by Lahiri Mahasaya. Babaji once created a golden palace out of thin air, but when his disciple asked to stay there, Babaji made it disappear. The lesson? Detachment. Even the divine can dazzle, but it is freedom from desire, not the fulfillment of it, that opens the gates of enlightenment. Chapter 35, The Christ-like Life of Lahiri Mahasaya, is a deep homage to Yogananda's Param Guru. Lahiri Mahasaya's humility stands as a quiet revolution. Though a householder, he became the spiritual son of thousands. Yogananda emphasizes how spirituality does not require renunciation of the world, only the ego. Lahiri Mahasaya lived simply, taught silently, and burned karma in the fires of daily life. In the resurrection of Sri Yukteswar, a chapter that many readers consider the most supernatural, Yogananda has a vision of his master after death, appearing to him in flesh and blood in a hotel room in Bombay. Sri Yukteswar explains the subtle laws of the astral and causal worlds, describing realms where thought is the only substance. This moment bridges the seen and unseen, shaking the very notion of death as final. As the journey nears its climax, Yogananda reflects on the Bengali joy-permeated mother, an encounter with the ecstatic Saint Giribala. She had not eaten food for decades. Her radiant presence, unbroken joy, and mystery leave a lasting impression. But again, Yogananda asks us not to be hypnotized by miracles, but to seek the source from which they arise, God consciousness. Chapter 38, Therese Neumann, the Catholic stigmatist, broadens the yogi's gaze beyond India. In Bavaria, Yogananda meets the famed Christian mystic who survives without food and relives the passion of Christ weekly through spontaneous wounds. It is a moment of universal spirituality. He sees in her not division, but divine unity, a reminder that God meets his devotees in every culture under different names, but with the same love. As he prepares to leave for India, the internal journey deepens. Chapter 39 explores his emotional reunion with friends and devotees, but something has shifted. Yogananda has become a bridge between East and West, science and spirit, form and formless. He now walks with a quiet resolve, aware that his work has just begun. The longing for home is now equaled by his longing to serve. Chapter 40, I Return to India, is filled with the bittersweetness of purpose. After years in America, Yogananda boards the ship to return to his motherland. But this is not a return of escape. It is a return of offering. He is now a torchbearer of yoga to the world. And as the ocean stretches before him, so does his mission, vast, silent, and filled with the light of his masters. In the final chapters of Autobiography of a Yogi, the veil between the spiritual and the physical grows thinner. Chapter 41 opens with one of the most mystical encounters of the book, Yogananda's meeting with the immortal Mahavatar Babaji. This secretive yogi, said to be centuries old, embodies the eternal power of spiritual liberation. Babaji tells Yogananda that his mission in the West is divinely guided and that the great yogic masters are watching over him. It's a revelation that grounds the miracles Yogananda has already witnessed in something far bigger, an ancient lineage with a cosmic purpose. Chapter 42 returns us to Sri Yukteswar's quiet yet powerful presence. The sage's wisdom flows like a river, steady, clear, and transformative. In an emotional exchange, Yogananda expresses his longing to spread Kriya Yoga to the world, but also his sorrow at leaving India. Sri Yukteswar assures him that true love transcends distance and time. This moment reflects the heart of yogic life, non-attachment balanced with unwavering love. Yogananda prepares to depart with both a heavy heart and a blazing mission. As Yogananda journeys back to the West in chapter 43, he reflects on India's profound spiritual legacy and its need to be understood beyond the veil of mysticism. Upon returning to America, he is struck by the hunger he sees in people, not for food, but for peace, purpose, and identity. Yogananda doesn't just bring yoga poses to the West. He brings soul wisdom, the sacred in the everyday, the invisible architecture of consciousness that underlies all human experience. In chapter 44, we see the fruits of that mission. Yogananda founds the Self-Realization Fellowship, a spiritual movement that teaches meditation, self-discipline, and divine union. Across cities and continents, he gives public lectures attended by thousands. But he also experiences resistance, racial prejudice, and misunderstanding. Still, he perseveres, not out of ego, but out of compassion. Change yourself, he tells his students, and you will change thousands. Chapter 45 presents a scene that's almost cinematic in its poignancy. Sri Yukteswar passes away in Puri. Yogananda, oceans away, is overwhelmed with grief until something miraculous happens. Days later, in a small hotel room, his master appears before him in resurrected form. In a luminous body of light, Sri Yukteswar explains the subtle worlds beyond death, astral, causal, and beyond. He describes how souls evolve through lifetimes and dimensions. This isn't myth. It's consciousness at play in the great cosmic theater. The astral worlds described by Yukteswar in this chapter are breathtaking. Spheres of beauty, vibrational healing, and freedom from physical limitation. Yogananda learns that these realms are not heavens of reward but stations of soul development. Here, souls continue their journey of purification until they are ready for ultimate union with the divine. The precision of the description is unlike anything else in spiritual literature, a blend of metaphysics, science, and spiritual clarity. Chapter 46 reveals how Yogananda, now in his later years, moves from public figure to inner guide. He begins writing extensively, knowing that words can live beyond bodies. In this time, he experiences deep states of samadhi and God communion. But there's also loneliness. He reflects on the burden of divine work in a material world. The cost of carrying light is often darkness. And yet, he continues, knowing that the path must be walked so others may follow. In chapter 47, we hear about the growing number of Western students, sincere seekers hungry for depth. Yogananda's method is never dogmatic. He invites people from all faiths to dive into their own consciousness. He emphasizes the formless behind the form, the divine spark behind every religion. Kriya Yoga becomes not just a technique, but a bridge between cultures, hearts, and eras. His teachings begin to quietly revolutionize how the West sees spirituality, not as belief, but as direct experience. The penultimate chapter reflects on India and America, two great civilizations he sought to unite. Yogananda believed both held essential truths. India, the treasure of spiritual wisdom; America, the energy of progress and innovation. His life became a synthesis of both. His message: true freedom comes not from escaping life, but embracing it with soul awareness. He didn't want followers. He wanted awakeners. Finally, in chapter 49, the curtain gently falls. Yogananda delivers his last public talk in Los Angeles. Moments later, he collapses and leaves his body, his face serene, his mission fulfilled. Witnesses say his body remained incorrupt for over 20 days, a final mystery in a life full of wonders. But Yogananda didn't come to perform miracles. He came to remind us of who we really are, divine beings having a human experience. His parting gift? A living path back to the self. The story of Yogananda is not just history. It is prophecy, a call across generations to awaken, to serve, and to love. If this journey touched your heart, share it, spread the light, and subscribe to Yogi Chronicles as we continue to explore the great souls and sacred paths that shape our world.